my pleasure to welcome in the Basketball Hall of Famer from The Athletic. It's David Aldridge. DA.
Great. How are you, sir?
I am doing well. It is good to see you in person.
Good to be seen. Good to be seen.
So nothing going on.
Another boring pre-draft situation.
Yeah, just, who they take at 8. That's all we have to talk about. When you look at this Jordan Poole trade, it's essentially Beal for Poole plus all the picks and the ancillary pieces.
Yeah.
Chris Paul gets rerouted to Golden State, obviously in the shrapnel, if you will. But from the Washington side of it, what do you make of both them getting Poole, the basketball player, but also the strategic decision to go after a guy that is young, high upside, has 4 years left on a contract?
Yeah, it's been fun. Fun is not the right word. It's been interesting to watch Wizards' schizophrenic Twitter the last 36 hours. Oh, these guys don't know what they're doing. They're worse than everybody else. It's the worst ever. Oh, I guess they're okay.
It really does feel like fans wanted them to do something, and this has satisfied the something.
Well,
that's why I go to you. You have insight on the something. Is the something good?
The something is good, yeah. I mean, they didn't. I'm not a poker player, but I know that a 3, a 2, a 7, a 9, and a jack is not a good hand. That's what they had.
I am also
not
a poker player.
What they had going to the table.
But I know that, too.
They didn't have a good hand. So you make the best out of the hand you've got. They made the best out of the hand that they got. There's nothing that this group can do to make up for the sin of giving Bradley Beal a no-trade clause. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing that can be done about that. So they made the absolute best deal they could, wanting to get Bradley off the books. I love this idea. Well, they could have just waited to the trade deadline. Oh, yeah, because Bradley Beal never gets hurt. That's never an issue.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And he's going to change his mind.
Right.
He who controlled the entire process.
And is going to, I mean, come on. It wasn't the best thing that you could possibly get, but it's the thing that you could get today, right? And so I think it was very important for this group to clear the books of Bradley Beal's contract, move on, and then, I always, and again, well, this was not Wizards Twitter. This is Lakers and Clippers Twitter. Well, they should just cut Chris Paul. Why?
Right.
So he can sign for the minimum. Yeah, that's great for the Lakers and Clippers. What does that do for the Wizards? Well, you don't want to play there. Yeah, we know. But
unlike Bradley, he didn't have a no-trade clause.
He has no trade clause. He has to, you have to see what you can get. Now, I thought at the end of the day they would get a deal done with the Lakers. I cannot say I saw this coming with Jordan Poole. So if you look at, to your point, Jordan Poole, 24 years old, was a very important piece to a championship team a year ago, not 6 years ago, a year ago. It's not a minimum contract, but it's not a supermax. I mean, in the NBA, at this stage, paying $25, $30 million for a two-guard that can score 20, 22, 24 points a game, it's okay. It's okay. They get the first down the road from Golden State. They get the second down the road from Golden State. They get the pick swaps with the Suns, which, again, don't mean anything, which aren't advantageous now for the Wizards because Phoenix is going to be better than them, so they're not going to swap with them because Phoenix is going to be better. So you're thinking not so much about 24 and 26, but about 28 and 30. Right. So maybe by 28 and 30, the worm has turned a little bit.
Kevin Durant will be 40 in 2028.
Exactly. So that's what you got to think about with that, and a bunch of second-round picks, which may or may not turn into something. I mean, what they are is capital that you can put in other trades down the road. So I'd say and also, look, I'm not saying Ryan Rollins is going to be like a difference maker or everything. I just know before the draft last year, when I do my draft confidentials, people said Ryan Rollins has a super high basketball IQ. And I know that this group values basketball IQ very much. And so whatever Ryan Rollins becomes here, it's going to fit with what they're trying to do here.
Yeah, David Aldridge with us here on the Hoffman Show. The Poole element of it is so fascinating to me because his reputation was dead after the playoffs. I mean, he had
a bad year.
It was really bad. And the playoffs were particularly poor.
Yeah, had a bad season.
Do you see him as a piece here that is rehab and flip, Or do you think that as they start the rebuild, like he's the first piece of the rebuild?
Well, I mean, that's the fascinating thing is that it could go either way, right? Like
Yeah.
you could see a scenario where Jordan plays very well next season, has a good year. It's the Eastern Conference. You know, who are the guards in the Eastern Conference that are all-star locks when you think about it? There's a few, but there's not 20.
Jalen.
Yeah, there's not 20 of them,
Right.
right? So he could be an all-star level caliber player, even though this team will be not good, and we all know that. So if he has a good year, of course you could flip him the next summer for more picks or for something else. Of course you could. You could also hold on to him. I think what I'm this is going to be the fun part for me is trying to think 4 years ahead because that's where Winger and Dawkins are right now.
Right.
They are smack dab in 2027, and what can this team accomplish in 2027? And so down the road, look, Dallas may be desperate by 2025 because I have no idea. I mean, I don't think anybody can say with any certainty what Kyrie Irving's going to do tomorrow, much less in a year.
Kyrie Irving doesn't know what he's doing tomorrow.
Exactly. So
Kyrie Irving also doesn't know what he did yesterday, but that's a different discussion.
Possibly, if you're Dallas, count on that as a piece down the road. And Luka's out is in 2026. That's
Right.
his out. Now, I'm not saying they're going to get Luka. I'm saying Dallas knows that that's the out, and they've got to get somebody in there that can help Luka. Now, in 2 years, is that Jordan Poole potentially? Could be.
Right.
Not the difference making. I'm saying a piece that helps you. You know, there's other teams. Look at this. Look at the teams again that are a little ahead of where the Wizards are now, but they've gone down this road of rebuilding. Detroit. I'll get the D's right soon. Detroit, Houston, Orlando.
Oh, right.
They got to start winning soon. Like they can't just keep running
Right.
through draft picks. At some point, they're going to need a little bit more proven talent to help them get to the next level. Could a guy like Jordan Poole fit in that timeline at 24? Yeah, he could. Good. Not saying any of these things are going to happen. I'm saying this gives them potential options in a couple of years. Also, he could be really good, and they could say, hey, you know what? We're going to keep him because he's an important part of what we're doing here now.
Right.
That could happen too.
So, to me, the thing that becomes very interesting about that is actually the pick tonight.
Yeah.
Because what I've been trying to explain to people is this is chess. You are thinking 3-4 moves ahead.
Exactly.
But what people need to understand is they just put the pieces on the board.
Right.
What's happening today is a pawn getting moved. It's not the final setup of checkmate.
Correct.
So the way that accelerates is if they draft someone tonight who's way better than they think. Obviously, they're going to like who they take because otherwise they wouldn't take them.
Right.
But let's say it's Anthony Black, the most popular name to get mocked to them.
Right.
If Anthony Black is a grade A superstar and pairs well with Jordan Poole, well, then we're talking about being competitive in 3 to 4 years, not 5 to 7.
Correct.
And so I think that's the thing that people don't necessarily understand, and I think it's interesting when you draw comparisons to the Orlandos, the Detroits, all the teams that you mentioned, is you don't really know the timeline until you have that guy.
Right.
And they don't know where that guy is going to come from. Is it someone they draft tonight? Is he a junior in high school right now?
Exactly.
We just don't know.
We don't know, and they don't know. And it's a risk. Look, I'm not saying this is definitely going to turn around in 3 years or 4 years. It could blow up and be awful. And then if it is, they'll all get fired. But here's what I know. If you look at Will Dawkins' track record as a drafter in Oklahoma City, it's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
They don't usually miss, okay? So I'm not expecting a lot of misses if they're in the top 10 going forward. So whether it's Black, Hendricks, one of the Thompsons, or Osser Slips. I'm sorry, I do not know how to pronounce his name. I'm still learning that.
That is my every year, especially now that the kids are not as many college kids and I can't watch them at least during the tournament. You're like, I'm sorry, I've read your name 1,000 times.
No, I've heard it pronounced 3 different ways, and I haven't had a chance to ask him yet. How do you want it pronounced? But if someone like that was there, now I don't think he will be, but if he was, by all accounts, everybody I've talked to about both of the Thompsons, Amin and Osser, say these are great kids, not good kids, great kids from a great family. And that they are, we all know their athletic ability is off the charts good. But the makeup, again, I know what these guys are going to value. That fits into what these guys are going to value. Are they good people? Are they coachable? And these kids both seem coachable. So if somebody like that were to fall for whatever reason and they get him and he turns out to use, like you said, to be great, well, that changes everything, doesn't it?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so that's what is fascinating about this whole kind of beginning steps to what is it going to be in 3 years. And this is the other thing that people are forgetting when they say, well, why didn't they get more players or picks or something? Because they don't want to give the Knicks their first-round pick next year, which they will have to do if they're good.
Right, it's top 8 next year.
Yeah, and so they want to not do that.
Right.
So there's method behind all of this. So you want to have your pick next year. Now it's not a great draft, but guess what? There'll be somebody to pick. Yeah. There's always somebody to pick.
Yeah, the best thing that could possibly happen is they somehow get someone that the Knicks want. Not necessarily tonight in the draft. They're not going to trade that guy, but like getting that pick back from the Knicks would unlock it. And I think that's like, honestly, David, I think that is the most underrated thing that people are missing in this entire equation, whether it's why you had to trade Beal, why they can't get in on, there's all this bluster out of New Orleans about Zion, and, we'll see if it's real or not. I tend to think at this point it's not, but who knows? If Portland offers 3, they at least have to think about it.
Right. They won't.
Yeah. There you go.
Not for him.
Yeah.
Not for him.
I take your word for it.
Yeah.
But like the Wizards can't get involved in any of that stuff because they can't trade multiple first-round picks right now.
Right.
And so that is another thing that I've tried to bring up on the show that people should just be aware of. You did your NBA Draft Confidential. Great, must-read every single year. I always love those when you just get execs that are like, all right, my name's not going anywhere near this. Let her rip.
Yeah.
What was your favorite, whether it's piece of information, anecdote, thing that you got out of someone that was in that piece?
Wow, that is a good question because I talk to so many people. It's hard to remember all of the things that I ask people about. I don't know, Craig. It's all a blur. It's been 3 months of just calling coaches and stuff.
Okay, I'll ask you about specific two guys.
Ask me about specific guys. I can tell you.
Scoot and Brandon Miller.
Okay.
Scoot was the guy that was always like Wembanyama's number 1, has been number 1.
Yeah.
Duh, he's 7'4", he can do everything.
Right.
Got it.
Okay.
But Scoot was the guy that was supposed to be next, and was like in any other year where there's not Victor Wembanyama, he's number 1.
Yeah.
Now he's probably going 3rd.
Yeah.
What do people make of that?
I'll tell you what. I'll give you an example. So I talked to a scout, and it wasn't last week, but it wasn't 3 years ago. He had seen Scoot play this year, and he said, "Scoot's really talented, but I'm not sure about how he's going to deal with adversity. Is he going to tough his way through it, or is he going to kind of fold up because he kind of shut it down?" Midway through the season, he only played in like 19 games for Ignite. That guy texted me this week and said, "I was wrong.
Wow.
This kid's great." and his team is not drafting him, so it's not a team that's in the top 5. He said, "I did more intel on this kid. This kid's all aces. This kid's terrific." So, and that kind of lines up more with what other people have said about him.
So why? If he's that good, you don't worry about positional fit. You just take the talent.
Talented. Yes.
Is Brandon Miller also that good?
Yes. Wow. I think he is that talented. Again, from what people have told me. I'm not going to pretend like I've watched every Alabama game this year. But everybody says, well, here's the thing that they say. He's got incredible position flex, as Ron likes to say.
Yeah. It's sad how many phrases have been ruined on this radio show by a variety of DC sports figures.
Right.
Position flex and Ron Rivera, check and check.
Right, but the thing they don't know is he an alpha? That's what I keep hearing. Is he an alpha? Scoot, alpha.
Yeah.
Scoot, total alpha. is Brandon Miller an alpha or not? And it's okay if he's not, but you need to know that. You can't draft him thinking he is going to be that kind of face of the franchise guy. The comp that people gave to me was he doesn't have what Jason Tatum had in high school and in college, which is I want to be the guy. I want to be the face of the franchise. I'm ready for it. This guy's a great player, but he may have to be your number 2. You may have to have somebody else that's your face of the franchise. And that's not a criticism. That's just makeup. That's just who he is as a person, So that's the thing that's one of the things that's interesting about Miller. But talent-wise, no, he can do it all, everything.
Yeah. David Aldridge with us here for just a few more minutes on the Team 980. All right, I love asking this question about draft time. I did it a bunch for folks who cover the NFL draft.
Yeah.
If you are the Commanders at whatever pick they had, I've scrubbed it from my brain.
16,
they were 16.
I think, yeah.
It was like, who's the guy you wanted on the board?
Yeah.
Same question tonight for the Wizards today.
The Wizards?
Who do you want to see on the board if you are Dawkins?
2 people. Well, it's more than 2 people, but the 2 at the top are Anthony Black. I think Anthony Black is too good at everything else to make his shooting problems prohibitive for you taking him.
Yeah.
Like, this is the NBA. People get better shooting.
Right.
They put the time in, they get better. Now, does he become prolific? No, but he'll become credible enough that if you go under, he'll make the shot more often than not.
Right. And we've seen that, De'Aaron Fox is, I think,
Guys
probably the
get better.
best, most recent example.
Most guys are willing to put the work in, they get better shooting. So if this kid works hard, by all accounts, he's a hardworking kid. He is a really disruptive force defensively. Switchability, long, smart. He's a very good passer. Now, do you want him to be your point guard from night one? You may not. You may want him to be your secondary ball handler to start. But eventually, he's going to get really good at it, I think, at the NBA level. Because they run a lot of stuff. Eric Musselman runs a lot of pro stuff.
Right.
He's DHOs and things like that. He knows how to run that stuff. So I'd like to see him. And again, Taylor is the other kid from Central Florida who, what intrigues you is he shot 39% on threes and he led the conference in block shots. That is a very interesting combination.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I am intrigued.
That's a very interesting, at 6'9", at 6'9.5". That's a really interesting combination of skills that this guy has. So a guy like that, a wing that, a Rashard Lewis-y type of wing, they haven't had here in a while. It's been a long time.
They've tried so
hard.
David.
KCP was a really good 3-and-D guy, but he didn't have the size. He was 6'5", 6'6".
It's what they wanted Rui to be. It's what they want Denny to be.
Yeah,
but
this guy's 6'9" and splashes it, and blocks shots and defends. So those are the 2 guys to me. Now that obviously if somebody incredible slips down there.
Sure.
But if I like Jarace Walker, but there's some things in terms of offense I'm not sure that are going to happen. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So that would be he's there. Cam Whitmore, beast athletically, beast. You just want to see more kind of diversity in his offensive game for me to feel like this guy. You can just put this guy in a high, weak side pick and roll. He's going to destroy it. I'm not sure. So those 2 guys I mentioned are the guys that I think the Wizards would get the most out of at that pick.
A couple quick hitters on the way out.
Yep.
One more draft, kind of bringing everything together, and then a couple of other guys on the roster. I'm curious what you think their value is around the league and if they'll get moved. As far as bringing it all together, does the Poole trade affect tonight at all? Or because you are doing this chess thing where you don't actually know where the next moves are, you just –
I think –
if you take another guard and you've got a bunch of small guards, it doesn't matter.
I don't think it matters. I mean, I think you want to take – you're going to take talent. You have to start amassing talent, and you'll figure out where it all fits later. And, again, Anthony Black at 6'6", 6'7" is different than all the other guards they have.
Right.
Other than DeLon Wright, who I suspect strongly will not be here opening night. So that gives you a little different kind of dimension, different look, right? So I don't think it does. I don't think Poole affects it one way or another. I doubt they were going to take someone like Jordan Hawkins or Grady Dick, who are the 2 best shooters in the draft,
right.
at the 2 spot. I never have heard them linked to either of those guys. Now I'll say this. OKC doesn't tell you what they're really going to do. They just do it.
That's
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so everybody putting Anthony Black to the Wizards doesn't mean they're taking it. They're putting Anthony Black with the Wizards. I just want to caution people in that. OKC's history is we do what we do, and you'll find out on draft night. But we're not going to tell people what we do. So I'm not saying they won't take Anthony Black. I'm saying it's not going to shock me if they take somebody else and they're going to say, here's why we love this guy.
Yeah. So you mentioned DeLon Wright. He's one of the guys. I'll start there.
Yeah.
DeLon Wright, what do you think his value? Because I've said this 100 times. I'll say it 101. If I was a playoff team,
absolutely,
I would be beating down the Wizards' door for DeLon Wright.
See, that's what I thought the Lakers were going to do at the end of the day. With the Chris Paul, I thought that they would try to expand the trade and maybe it becomes a 3-team trade where they get Chris Paul and DeLon Wright and the Wizards get a bunch of draft picks or whatever. But now that's not there. Well, again, keep in mind, all these trades are tentative trades.
Yeah, I do think the
Beal one, but the Chris Paul one is a 7-1 trade. I mean, that's a July 1st trade, so that can be expanded. So maybe DeLon Wright winds up in that trade somewhere. Because you could always expand it to include more teams. So, but I certainly think he's going to get moved. He's very valuable. You're exactly right for a playoff team, for a championship contending team. He could have the exact same impact that KCP had in Denver to me on another team that really is trying. Phoenix has absolutely nothing left to trade, but he would really help them.
Yeah,
if
I thought he was going to be involved in that.
You know
one
what I mean? But teams like that really are all in, he could help.
I got a hard out in 25 seconds, so I'm just going to – Monte Morris is gone, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe with DeLon, right?
That's the funny thing is some of these guys could wind up packaged together. Yeah. David, always great to see you in person. Always appreciate your time here on the show. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This is The Hoffman Show on the Team 980 and the Odyssey app.